We are working on our next project, which is 1-point perspective. So there's 4 different projects in this bundle, and it's going off our illusion, realistic perspective kind of unit that we've been doing. So what you need for every project is you're going to need a piece of paper, a pencil, an eraser, probably a pencil sharpener as well, a ruler or any kind of straight edge, and color pencils or crayons. Stay away from markers, color pencils, or crayon. Our first project is called Flying Boxes, just for us to get used to this 1-point perspective illusion. First thing we're doing is we're putting a dot right in the middle of our paper, and we are labeling it VP. V as in Victor, P as in puppy, VP. So at the top right here, I am writing down exactly what VP means, so you should too, so you always remember. VP stands for vanishing point. So vanishing point. So we're going to pretend like this dot is a black hole. And what black holes do is they suck everything in and make them disappear, so it vanishes. So if we draw something normal, everything that goes towards this black hole is going to get stretched and get smaller and smaller and smaller. And as it gets smaller and pulled into the black hole, it's also going to develop less details. So keep that in mind. Your vanishing point, when it's close to your vanishing point, it is going to be smaller and have less details than whatever you make on the outside normally. So right here, I am starting to draw a square. It can be a square or a rectangle. Honestly, it just depends on how you draw it. But please use your ruler. Make it nice straight edges. Don't just guess and have your edges kind of wonky. Make them really nice and straight. So make either a square or a rectangle. Now after we have our square, we are going to connect each corner of our square or rectangle to our vanishing point. So take your ruler, line up the corner, line up the vanishing point, and then draw a straight diagonal line. Again, we're doing it with every single corner of our square or rectangle. And so it's going to look like it's being pulled into this black hole. Now that we have all 4 sides done, you see this one corner, this bottom corner, has a line going straight through my box. Now that's okay if my box was see-through, but I'm making a solid box, so I don't want to see that back corner. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase that line so we can't see it anymore, so we can imagine that this is a flying box rather than a flying see-through box or something that is more 3-dimensional. We want it to be a very solid kind of structure, not see-through. And right underneath this, I am writing flying box, so I can just label it and keep track of how I did it. So flying box, think of it also as like it's popping out at you. So it's going from the vanishing point and jumping right into your face, or, it could be just box sitting there and being sucked into the vanishing point. Any way you look at it. So I wrote pop so you remember that that is how you would do it. I'm starting again, making another square or rectangle, whatever way it comes out to be. Sorry, it kind of cut off a little bit in my camera, so I'll move my camera over just a little bit so you can see it. There we go. So fixing that, I'm going to repeat that first step, doing all of my sides to my vanishing point. Alright, again, this is a solid box, so I'm erasing that back line. And I'm labeling this one a 3D closed box. Okay, closed because it's solid. So 3D closed box. After that, now I am going to actually create that box effect. So I do this by copying my first initial box shape. So I have a very straight vertical line. I am just moving my ruler down towards the vanishing point and making another straight vertical line. So now I have 2 parallel lines, both straight, both vertical, and now it looks like the back side of the box. And then everything that's left over in the back, that I call that the tail. We don't need the tail, so just erase it. So now I have a box, a 3D box with two sides, the front side and that other side of the box. So I'm going to do this again, repeating the first step again, and I'm also going to be repeating the sides again, but then this time I'm going to add one more angle. Alright, so I am taking that straight bottom line and then duplicating it to make a parallel line just a little bit further down. Just like how I did that 3D closed box the first time around. So now I have a bottom part. As you can see on this one, I actually have a corner you can see. So I need to copy that side line and make it connect to the back of my box that I'm creating another corner. So now I have the whole back side you can see the front, and you can see two sides, two complete sides, and then going in and erasing the tail one more time. Now, if you were in my beginning class, we would stop right here. Having 3 closed boxes is perfect for your assignment. However, my advanced class, I do want you to have 3 boxes as well, but we are going to add a see-through element in this. So we're going to make a cube that you can see through. So repeating all my steps again, I am doing the corners to my vanishing point. I am going to do all of my corners this time because, like I said, it is a see-through box. So we need to do all 4 corners towards my line rather than just the 3 closest ones. Now, copying the other 2 steps, taking that side and making a parallel line to it, just further down the tail. Then I am going to make another one, copying that back corner, repeating it to make it just the same as that front box. So now it looks like the other 2 that we did, but we need to do the back sides of the boxes. So what we're going to end up having is 2 complete squares connected with diagonal lines. So I am identifying where my corners are. Then I am copying the line that is associated with that corner. So I'm doing the back side right now, connecting it to that line that's kind of hard to see, that very light line that's going through my square. And then I am connecting both of those back box lines to complete that very final box. So one more line going up there, making sure it's nice and straight, moving it down towards that vanishing point, and then completing that back box. And then I will erase the tail, and then I will have a flying open box or flying 3D see-through box. Okay, now you're touching up, making sure all of your boxes look great and perfect, erasing all those extra lines that you don't need. And then you are taking your colors and you're coloring. Something to keep in mind when you're coloring, the front of the boxes, so the face of the box, is going to be a light color. The sides of the boxes are going to be a darker color. So you're adding more pressure to the sides, really light pressure to the front. And then your 3D open box can just be any kind of pressure you want. I chose to do light. But then there you have it. That is the end of your flying box project. We are starting on project 2. Project 2 is going to be 1-point perspective road. So road is going to be very loosely because you can actually turn it into anything you want, but we're going to call it a road. So start off by putting a dot right in the middle of our paper, just like how we did the first project. We're going to label it VP. What does VP stand for? It stands for vanishing point. And now we're drawing a line going straight across our paper, straight through our vanishing point, and we're labeling it HL. HL is horizon line. So HL is a horizon line, and a horizon line is basically where your sky meets the earth. So your sky meets the earth, You can also look at it as your background meets your midground. Your background meets your midground and foreground. So backgrounds are typically flat objects, and then your midground and your foreground are going to have that perspective illusion. So where the sky meets the earth, where your background meets all the other foregrounds and midgrounds. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are actually going to decorate our background first. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. You can decorate it any way you want. I'm adding some mountains. You can put city views. You can put a sun, big sun, moon, stars. I'm going to put a little spaceship. Literally, you can put anything. This is where your creativity takes place, and you are adding all of that fun creativeness that you bring to the table. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to create that road effect. So I'm taking my ruler, going from my vanishing point and going all the way off my page, creating that giant V or that triangle look, and then I'm going to make my road into anything I want. So this is where you also add your own creativity. You can make you can put the lines in the middle of the road as the dividers. You can turn your road into a giant river. You can put road into railroad ties. It can be a dirt road. Really, this is also where you get to show your creativity and kind of make it however you want to make it. So I'm just keeping it very simple. Remember that things that are closer to you are going to have more detail, and then as they go further back towards the vanishing point, they are getting smaller and less detail. Now I'm adding an element that goes from large to small, kind of like a telephone pole on the side of the road. So my first line goes from the vanishing point off the page. That's going to be where everything lines up to. My next line is a guide point to show like that is what I'm drawing and how high it is going to be. And then my second line from the vanishing point to my height determiner, that diagonal line is going to be how small or the decrease in height as it goes back towards that vanishing point. So after I have that triangle, I'm going to fill it with more straight lines to show that it's slowly getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it goes back into the vanishing point. And it's kind of like a small outline for me to follow when I'm adding my details. So you can turn these into telephone poles. You can turn them into trees. Really, this is another creativity spot that you can apply anything you want. Anything that's going to be really big in the front, that's going to be repeated along whatever you're next to, like your road. Okay, the final element we're going to add is some kind of building next to our said road. So again, this is going to be very similar to our flying boxes that we did the first project. So we are going to be doing a square or a rectangle to begin. And then remember, we're going to put all of our points towards that vanishing point, except for that farthest point, because we don't want it to make it look like a see-through box or building. We want it to be solid. Now we are copying those straight lines, duplicating them to make it actually like a flying box rather than having that long tail. So confirming that it's a box shape, that back corner area, darkening it up to make it look nice, and then I am erasing the tail because we don't need it anymore. Then it comes the creativity aspect. Remember, you can turn your building into anything you want, so take this time, add whatever you think you need to make this building great. You can also take this time to add whatever you want to the surrounding area. Maybe you want to add a pool, maybe you want to add some grass bunches, some more trees. Just remember, whatever you put in the front, it does, if you're going to repeat it backwards, it does repeat smaller and smaller and smaller until it gets all the way to that horizon line. Then I expect you to take the time to color it really nice and neat, and make it ready to be turned in as a project. So make sure you're coloring it really nicely and taking your time, and then that is the completed work for this project. So there you have it. Project 3 is a forest. So again, we're going to start with a dot right in the middle of our page. This is the vanishing point. We're going to take our ruler and we are going to make some lines going around our paper, all going towards our vanishing point. The main thing to remember is that we're going to start on the outside of our paper, go towards our vanishing point, but we're going to stop just shy of the actual point. We're not going to go all the way to our point. We're going to leave a little bit of a gap. And so I'm going to do that all the way around, circling it. After completing those single lines, I'm going to go back through it and just bold each line by adding a second line next to it, giving me a spot to color. These are actually turning into tree trunks, so have a variety. Some of them can be skinny, some of them can be a little bit thicker. Just give it a little variety of each one, so they're not all exactly the same. And we're now going to add branches to make the tree shape. So making the structure of the tree, what I'm going to do is add the 2 bottom branches. I'm going to take the very edge of one of my branches and line it towards my vanishing point. Then I'm going to add all the other branches going up. This is going to create that triangle look. So it looks big at the bottom, big and full, and then it's going really small and tiny at the top, making it look really tall. So I'm going to do that for every single tree. I'm going to give it a little bit of variety through it. So I'm going to put starting point, and then you'll see me with a ruler going in and then adding all the other branches. Slowing back down for the next step, I'm going to add that shape of actually having leaves on there now. So I'm going to go in and out of each of my leaves. Sometimes I'm just going around a couple of them. Sometimes I'm really going in and out of every single one of them. You really want a kind of like a nature look to it, so a very organic shape. You don't really want a very structured triangle shape. My hands are naturally shaky, so I use that natural kind of shake to give it a little bit more texture and shake and squiggliness to the outsides of my trees when I do them. So I'm going to do that for every single one of them. And after I have all the basic shape, I'm just going to go in with an eraser and lighten up the inside, because when I color it, I don't want the inside of my trees to be too dark. You still want to see kind of the base and the branches, but you don't want them to be really, really dominant. So also additionally, if you are in my advanced classes, I would like you to add some tree or bark texture to your base. And I'm doing that with just adding some squiggly lines and dots and shading going up and down the actual trunk. So add that shading. Beginning classes, if you want to try and attempt this, totally can. Give it a little bit of personality and a little bit more creativity to it. After I have done that, I'm going to go over everything and coloring it, making it look nice, neat, ready to turn in for a great grade. Now you can do your trees all different colors if you want. I think I'm just doing classic green. But if you want to do like yellow, fall colors, you can also do that. Maybe you want to do some like that have snow on them. That's totally fine as well. Remember, this is where you get creative. Don't forget to color the background, because that is all the sky. And then this point of view is like you are laying on your back, looking up at the trees and at the sky. And that's done. Last project in this unit, we are taking our pencil and putting a dot right in the middle of our paper. This is going to be a bird's eye view, 1-point perspective. So after we have that dot, what is that dot called? Oh, it is called the vanishing point. So after we have our vanishing point, we are taking our ruler, we are putting 2 straight lines. Our straight lines are going to go above our vanishing point and below our vanishing point. Okay, this is the outline to our road. So after we have our road created, we are then going to add our squares and rectangles to either side of our road. Now you need a minimum of 6. You can have more, no less. You can have more. You can do them all different sizes. So you can have some small ones, some large ones. You can put them all on one side. I'm going to do 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. But you can add them all on one side. You can put maybe 2 on one side or just 1 on one side. Really, this is where you add your creativity again. As you can see, I ended up doing 4 on each side. You actually have to have 6. You don't have to have as many as me. And so, me being an overachiever, I put a sidewalk on mine, and I'm also putting little dots on the road. You can have time to do that at the very end. I don't know why I did that first, but first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take both edges or the corners of my boxes and go towards the vanishing point, but I'm going to stop right before I get to my vanishing point, right when I touch either the sidewalk or the street. So right when I hit that line for the street, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to make my line go all the way through because I don't want my building in the middle of the street. I want my building on the side of the road. And so that's why you stop a little bit early. You're going to see me actually do the sides of the building as well. I realized after I recorded this, the sides of the buildings that I did are not really in a great spot for me to explain how to do them. So for right now, I just want you to focus on doing the very fronts of all your buildings. So do the fronts of your buildings, and then once I get to the other side, there's one of the buildings, I actually will slow it down and explain to you how to do that side angle for the building. Right, again, I'm slowing it back down so I can show you how to do the side of the building. So the front of the building, remember, you have to do from the edge to the vanishing point, stopping on the side of the road. I know this spot is really small to show you the front of the building, but it still applies that going down and then stopping on the road. So the point that goes on the road that's the furthest or the closest to the vanishing point, I'm going to go straight back. So I made a straight back line, making the side of the wall of the building. And then that back corner is going to go diagonal towards the vanishing point and then stopping on that line, that straight back line. So if a building was there, you wouldn't actually see some of the line work. You would just end up kind of drawing it either behind it or lightly drawing through the other building and then erasing it at the end. So I'm not sure what happened to this video. It's just kind of all over the place. Apparently I skipped over adding all the detail on top of buildings. So take your time, add detail to the top of the buildings, add some like air conditioners, some tubes. You can add a garden. Some people were drawing bridges to go to the other buildings. Really up to you. That's your own creativity that you're adding to it. So decorate your buildings, the very tops of them. So what you're going to see me do right now is I am adding the front of my buildings to have windows. So your buildings all should have windows, and they all should have at least one door. And so what you do is you are making the tops of your windows. So the top of your window should match the top of your building. So if you have a horizontal line, straight horizontal line for the top of your building, that is how you're going to be doing the top of your window. And then same with repeating it to do the bottom of the window. So make your 2 lines first, top and bottom, and both of those should be straight lines. The next thing you should do is you're adding the side of your windows. So the side of your windows are going to match the sides of your building. Your sides of your building went towards the vanishing point. So you're lining up the side of the window. You're lining it up to the vanishing point, and it should be at a slight diagonal. So again, sides of your window should be going towards your vanishing point. Top and bottom of your windows should be straight lines. Same thing applies when you are making a door. So you're going to make the top of the door going with the top of the building, so it should be a straight line. Sides of the door should be going with the sides of the building, which should be slightly diagonal lines going towards the vanishing point. And I'm going to speed up until the end of the video. This is just me adding some details. Remember, your buildings should at least have 1 window and 1 door to them. You also should have something on the top of each building, and you're adding your own creative style on it. You can make your buildings, maybe they're brick, maybe there's a pool party on top of your building, maybe Spider-Man is jumping across, really up to you. Make sure you are coloring it and taking a really long doing a really good job coloring it to make it look nice and neat, so when you turn it in, it looks good. And then that would be the completed look. Make sure you're turning it in. If you just did this for fun, try doing maybe like a different style to your building and try again. So these were all 4 of our projects that we just did. We're going to be doing a little bit more in the upcoming year, so I'm looking forward to advancing your art skills with you.